Okay, so I will now give a presentation titled The Past and Future Overpayment History in Merpay. I'm Yusuke Hosaka. Nice to meet you. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Yusuke uh, Hosaka. So I joined Merpay in August 2019 as a summer intern, and then I continued as an intern. And then I joined Merpay as a new grad in April 2021. Since I joined, well, I started as an intern, but I've been mainly developing the dashboard, which is the top screen of a Merpay, functions around the credit line and the payment history, which I'll be presenting today. This is a table of contents. Well, first, I'd like to, of course, present the history screen, but then I think it is important to understand the customer status and the payment method in MailPay to understand the history better. So then I will talk about the status of the customer, and then I will talk about the payment method. And then I'd like to talk about a new payment history that I have developed. So first, the customer status. Well, in MailPay, there are several types of money in MailPay. So there are four major types of money. The first one is the sales proceeds, which you get when you buy or sell something on Mercari. When you use Mercari or MailPay, you cannot use the sales proceeds as it is. So you have to buy points with the sales proceeds. So there are also points. Also, points can be given as a part of a campaign. And I will explain this later, but there is also a value of money called the balance. And finally, there is a MailPay feature called MailPay Smart Payment Limit, which is this is the money that you use when you use smart payment. You can set your own maximum amount. MailPay's customer status depends on the three main registration statuses. The payment method can be changed based on the status. The first one is whether or not you have verified your identity. The second is whether or not the customer has registered for the next month's payment. And finally, then it depends on whether or not the customers have registered for MailPay Smart Payments, flat rate payment, or the fixed amount payment. So there are different customer statuses for MailPay based on these. So I will talk about the details. So this is the status of the customer before the identity verification. If you look at the image on the right, sorry, it's a bit hard to see, but so you can see the words points is shown on top, and then there is a button by points under the word point. Before verifying identification, you buy points with the money gained through buying or selling on Mercari. So you use them for payment, and transactions related to sales proceeds or sales money will be recorded in the sales record, and the transactions with purchased points will be stored in the point history. Next, I'd like to talk about the user's status after identity verification. Once the user verifies their identity, the sales proceeds or sales money can be used as they are. So the money that can be used will be changed. In the card type, the name of the blue box has been changed to balance. This is the balance. It is the one that includes both money and points. This sales proceeds or sales money. Now that we have or the customer have verified their identities, so the history of sales proceeds of sales money will no longer be used, and then all the history will be stored in the balance history. Also, by verifying the identity, it is possible to charge the money. There are several ways to charge money. You can charge money from 7 bank ATMs, or you can register an account for money transfer to charge the balance. Next, you can register for the next month's payment by Merpay Smart Payment. If you do this, you'll be able to use the Merpay Smart Payment. And here you can see the history of your payment in Merpay Smart Payment history. With Merpay Smart Payment, you don't have to think about the payment method every time you make a payment, as you pay all in once next month. As long as it is within the maximum limit, you can make payment you want. And there are several ways to pay. You can do direct debit from your account, or you can also pay at ATMs at convenience stores the following month. As a major feature, you can switch between balance payment and smart payment after registering for the smart payment. As you can see on the right, it can be the blue area where it says Merpay Smart Pay, or on the blue background screen on the right. If you click on the balance surrounded by the red line, you can switch the payment method by tapping on it. After you have registered for Merpay Smart Payment flat rate or the fixed amount repayment, you can pay. You can convert the next month's payment to a fixed amount, like the picture on the right. You can select the product for which you have set the next month's payment and convert it to a fixed amount. Also, you can set the monthly repayment amount by yourself. Since there are fees and commissions for fixed payment or the flat rate payment, you need to show the amount. Okay, we need to show the amount of fees and commissions. So the amount the customer pay or commission rate and so forth in the history. This is a distinctive feature. Okay, next I'd like to talk about the payment method of Merpay. This will be divided into two major categories. One is the payment within the Mercari app and the other. First, I will talk about the purchases within Mercari. This is a payment method that will increase according to the user status. At first, you can only pay with points, and after verifying your identity, you will be able to pay with your balance, and you'll be able to use Merpay Smart Payments the next month or fixed amount available too, depending on your status. And what distinctive about it is for purchases within Mercari, it is possible to combine these payments. So we call this combined payment. I hope you will remember the term combined payment or fukugo kessai, because it will come up several times later. What we have to consider here is, for example, when you pay with the combination of points, balance, and the next month's payment by Merpay Smart Pay, when you want to show the balance history of the transaction, should we put the amount of the payment or the points payment in the balance history for that payment? Well, if we do so, we need to know all these separate values. So that's the challenge in displaying the history. Next, regarding purchase outside of Mercari. Basically, purchasing outside of Mercado is pretty simple. You can pay only with points before verifying your identification. And after the self-identification, you pay only with the balance. And after registering the Merpay Smart Payment next month, Merpay Smart Payment next month, or the payment with the balance are available. If you want to convert this Merpay Smart Payment next month to a flat rate payment or a fixed amount payment, you have to manually convert it to a fixed amount payment by yourself. So far, I've explained the customer status and the payment methods of Merpay. So now I'd like to explain the history screen that I have created so far before I got involved in the development. There are several history screens in the past. The first four I mentioned are the money history. The first one is the sales proceeds or sales money. The second one is the point history. The third one is the balance history. And the last one is the smart payment history. For this smart payment history, the first screen shows combined history of smart payment next month and fixed amount. Then, how do I display the history? There is a so-called history of use on the Merpay top screen. So you can see the history there. The leftmost item will change depending on the status of your identity verification. As you can see, it changes from sales proceed or sales money to a balance. So it depends on the status of the customer. But from this part of the history of use, you can see the history. So first, the sales money or the sales proceed history. So this is a summary of the sales transaction and sales money. Well, so how much money I got by selling on Mercari, or how many points that I bought with the sales money to use it on Mercari. So such histories are displayed here. And note that you cannot use Mailpay with the sales proceed or sales money, so there is no payment history. Then the point history. This is a summary of transactions related to points. The point history is divided into tabs. And the tab on the left is a summary of transactions related to points. And there are two types of points, paid points and free points. Paid points have expiration dates. So you can see the expiration date. The screen on the far right shows expiration date. And the point history, as you can see in this image, there are some arrows on it. The ones with arrows. If you tap that cell, you can see the detailed history. Next is the balance history. This is a summary of transactions related to the balance. It includes the history of charges, purchases made with Merpay, and so on. And on the detail screen, many of the same elements as point history are used. And this is something distinctive about this screen. And like the point history, the past history can be viewed by scrolling down. So as an issue, when you want to look at what you spent a month ago, for example, you You have to scroll down by yourself that page. And the more history you have, the more difficult it becomes to trace back to the past history.
Next, we'll look at the history of Merpay smart payments. This section summarizes transactions related to next month's payment and fixed payment. The first top screen is a summary, which is on the left. There are two sections. One is for fixed payment and the other for next month's payment. For fixed payment invoices or sections, it is possible to go to a more detailed screen by tapping the cell of the month. For items paid in the following month, tapping a cell will take you to a detailed history dedicated to the next month's payment. As for the detailed history when this next month payment is stopped, the contents displayed are different for the next month payment and the fixed amount payment items. In the history section of the next month's payment, there is also an item that says it was converted to a fixed payment, and when you tap on that cell, you will see this detailed history. As you can see, the item converted to a fixed payment has features to show the actual annual interest rate and amount you have just settled, since it is rarely paid all at once in its because it's a fixed payment. And for the next month's payment, you can go and set up a fixed payment from this detail screen. Also, this feature does not show combined or composite payments. So in this case, you actually paid 10,000 yen out of 20,000 yen by Merpay Smart Payment, but the data related to that is not displayed here. One major issue with the data history is that it is not specialized for payment. And as I mentioned earlier, the history is not organized by month. Smart Payment is organized by month, but other than that, they are not organized well by month. So if we want to see the past history, you have to scroll the screen a lot, and it is time consuming. The other part is that some areas do not respond well to combined settlements. So it appears as if you paid only 10,000 yen out of 30,000 yen. You actually paid when you look at one part, and you can't understand it unless you trace various histories by yourself, like I paid 30,000 yen for this, but it's not right. All of this resulted in a weakness that made it hard to incorporate Merpay into their lives because it is hard to manage their money. So I created a new payment history dedicated to payment in my project to improve this. So I will talk about it in depth. The new payment history is made up by extracting only the payment history part from the past history. As I mentioned, you can't use the cells as they are sales as they are, but you have to buy points to use Merpay, so the contents of the sales history are not included in the new payment history. The payment history of points history, balance history, and smart payment history are combined to create a new payment history. You can open the new payment history by tapping Monthly Payment Status section on My Page. And the screen on the right is the new payment history. As you can see at a glance, this one is dedicated to payment history and shows the history by month. And this is the history for all your points, balance, and Merpay Smart Payment. So you can see how much you paid for the month in one place. It's worth to mention it has a user interface that summarizes the month's payment. Here is the total amount of 50,000 yen. And if you use the Merpay Smart Payment system, the amount to be paid in the following month or the fixed amount are shown here, as well as the amount you've already paid. That makes you easy to see the breakdown. In addition, this history has a UI that represents combined payment. This UI for the combined payment supports both the list screen and the detail screen. In the case of list screen, cells are combined to express the composite or combined payment. After upgrading to version 2, points and balance are combined into one two-line expression. Also, in the detailed history, the payment amount is UI compatible with the combined payment as shown here. As for the summary section, it can change depending on the user's status or which month it is, whether it is the current month or last month, etc. If you press the button saying Pay separately, you'll be taken to a screen that allows you to convert it to a fixed payment. Also, when you click Pay Now button, you can see the total payment for that month of Smart Pay on a screen like this list screen and make payment right from this button. Next is the immediate payment feature. Merpay Smart Payment lets you make the payment in the next month of the credit, but this feature allows you to pay without waiting for the next month's payment. This one-time payment button allows you to make an immediate payment, and by scrolling and tapping on any item that is payable the following month, you can make immediate payment as well. Please note, however, that the Merpay Smart Payment limit itself will not be restored until the first of the following month. I've covered new payment history features so far. One of the benefits of the new payment history is that it is specialized for payment history, and which makes easy for customers to know what they have paid so far. And since the amount paid per month is clearly displayed, customers will feel easier to manage their payment. Also, the UI is designed to support combined payments, so information is displayed without missing information. This makes it more transparent to the customer. As I explained a little earlier, it also connects the functions of Mercari and Merpay, such as the immediate payment function in Merpay and jumping to the screen of the following month's payment. I have only introduced a few, but there are many more features in the new payment history. I think these will make it easier for you to incorporate Merpay into your daily life. And I would like to make the payment history even easier for customers to understand. By connecting with more functions of Mercari and Merpay, we can help customers understand Merpay through their payment history and have them experience the convenience of the various functions. And through this payment history, they will have more understanding about the products as they can use various functions in it. And if we can do these things, I think we can provide a better customer experience. In the end, it was a TechFest presentation, and I think I talked a lot about the product side. As an engineer, I think that if I have a deep understanding of the product and what this function means for my product, then I think I will be able to broaden the scope of my engineering development work. Therefore, I have presented the product side more strongly this time. This history, to be honest, it is not highly contributing to profitability. In other words, I don't think this directly increases the profitability of the company. However, I think it is very important for customers have an easy to understand history so that they can understand the product itself. If you are working on a product for another company, maybe it's not payment history, but even if you think the function you are in charge of is not profitable, if it is important for the customer to understand the product, or if it has an important role for the customer, I think it is very important to recognize this and enhance the importance of the development of the function. This concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.